Does your espresso look like this? Or this? But you want it to look like this. Well, then this is the video for you. What's up everyone, Lance Hedrick here, and today we're gonna look at how I dial in espresso when I first receive a coffee. All right, so if you all have not done so yet, please take a moment, hit that subscribe button, maybe hit the like at the end of the video if you enjoy it, or now if you're just really enthusiastic, that would be fantastic. Thanks for watching this, because you're already here, you've already clicked the thumbnail, and I really appreciate you. This is gonna be a quick 5-minute-ish tutorial on how I receive a coffee and the decisions I make to dial it in. Whenever I get a new coffee and I don't have a lot to spare, the first thing I kind of look at is what roast level is this, okay? So this is actually a coffee that I have not dialed in. It's a coffee from my friends at Double Shot out in Czech. And so this is I would say medium to medium light roast. Yeah, so when I get this coffee, I'm thinking, well, for a traditional style espresso, ideally, for me, what I would dial this into just as a taster, just as a simple beginning, is about a 1 to 2.5 ratio. Now with darker roasted coffees, just simplistically, I like to go around 1 to 2, maybe a little less. With lighter roasted coffees, I do 1 to 3 and above, okay? So if we're staying in the traditional realm, those are kind of my typical ratios I observe. Darker roasted coffees are really soluble. I like to keep the ratios lower so I'm not getting a lot of those bitter notes. With the medium light types coffees, I like to go to that 1 to 2.5, maybe up to 1 to 3, depending on how much flavor there is in the coffee to give off. And then with really light coffees, I really need a lot of water to go through it to really up my extraction. So we're gonna see where this is at just based off of where the last coffee was in this grinder. So let me take a second, grind up the coffee, and we'll see what's going on. All right, so the first thing I like to do is just grind based off of my basket size. This is about a 20-gram basket. So I'm grinding 20 grams into it, and we're gonna see what that's going to extract like. And from that, visually, I'm gonna make some changes, and then we'll make changes based off of taste. So we got 20 grams. I'm gonna WDT this, just to make sure I got some nice puck prep. Then we're gonna tamp, we're gonna throw it in the machine, and we're gonna see what comes out in about 30, 35 seconds. Let's pull this shot. And there we go. So let's see, we have the pre-infusion hitting it, and in about 7 seconds it should start to ramp up. Here we go, ramping up to 9 bar. All right, let's check this here. All right, so it's quite slow. We have a pretty slow extraction going on right now, which means that our grind setting is too tight. We're already at 21 seconds, we only have 5 grams of espresso in the cup. So without even tasting it, I know that I need to increase or coarsen my grind size. So that's the first move I'm gonna do. I'm gonna coarsen the grind size. I'm currently at 9 on the Breville Smart Grinder Pro. I'm going up to an 11, all right? So it took, to get to about a 50-gram shot, which is what I'm aiming for with this, just to see where we're at. To get to 50 grams, it took 48 seconds. So I made that change. Now I'm gonna dump out the cup, clean it, and I'm gonna clean out my puck and re-weigh. All right, so I've shifted the grind setting up, I purged out some grounds, and now I am pulling again at an 11 grind setting. So we coarsened it 2 steps. We're gonna see how this one pulls. We're ramping up to 9 bar, and that's coming out looking a lot nicer. Might still be a little too tight for that 20 and 50 out in around 30, 35 seconds, but we're still gonna taste it regardless of where it ends up and see if we need to make any changes. Sometimes, you know, coffees act differently. So let's see where we're at. We actually may end up perfect right here. Let's see. We did 50 grams in 32 seconds. All right, so what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna give this a stir, and we're gonna give it a sip. Now what you wanna do, the next thing in dialing in espresso, is you wanna think in terms of sour, sweet, and bitter. So if you're on the sour edge of things, you're on the under-extracted. If you're on the bitter and watery and drying end of things, you're on over-extracted. So if you're under, you need to push the extraction. If you're over, you need to lessen extraction. So we're gonna taste this, we're gonna see where we need to move. All right, so this one's just a smidge sour. So I would like to push the extraction just a little bit more. All I'm going to do actually for this is, the easiest way I like to make this change is not to change anything on the grinder, because that can get finicky. You waste more beans by getting some caught in the burrs. You have to purge it out. Instead, I'm gonna pull the same exact shot, and I'm gonna let it run longer, just 5 more grams. I'm gonna do 20 in, 55 out, and however long it takes. So the only real variable I'm changing is time. and wait. All right, so I've dosed the same amount, same grind size, and now I'm extracting again. We're gonna let it run to 55 grams, which is going to increase our ratio a smidge and increase the time, the contact time, just a little bit. And hopefully this will fix up that sourness. Now, if when I was pulling the espresso, if instead it was flapping and was really fast and was coming out in 10, 15, 20 seconds, what some people call a gusher, I would have done the opposite. I would have gone down a click or two, and I would have tried to slow the shot down in order to hit that kind of time period where I enjoy dialing in coffees that I'm unfamiliar with. All right, so we did 55 grams and 34 seconds. All right, so let's see if that fixed the slight sour that I was tasting. All right. That ruined my 5 minutes. There it is. I love whenever it's... Some coffees they just brew themselves. This is one of them. Really easy to dial in. But it's also good because I wanted to keep this video short. Again, if you are brewing it and it's coming out really fast and it's watery but it's fast, you might think, oh, it's over-extracted because Lance said watery and bitter. Well, watery can also be that you have way coarse grounds. You've got to get to, before you start doing the sour, sweet, bitter test, you need to get to the range of traditional espresso where it's coming out kind of like warm honey. Okay, so if you're trying to go for that traditional espresso shot, take these tips. Make sure that you understand how fine and coarse and dose are all going to affect your shot. If you need more exhaustive trainings, here's part 1 of my espresso tutorial, and then I also have right here, part 2, I had to wait a second because it takes a little bit for those things to go away. So go check those out if you want a little bit more exhaustive tutorial. Until then, I hope you brew some delicious coffee. Thank you for watching, and cheers.